Hey guys, how's it going? Value Venture Investing here today. So today was Irobot's Q4 2020 results and also their full year results for the entirety of 2020. So taking a look at their stock. As of recording this, we're up about 5%. I mean, at certain times it was up over 10%, just rallying, just going crazy. And if you actually look at the stock in the last month or so, last couple of weeks, wow, we've seen some crazy price action, nearing the 180 level. So, what's going on with that? I don't know if it's a little bit to do with all this Reddit stuff or somebody knew that these results came in because these results were very good. So in this video, we're going to go over the results. I'm going to give you my opinion, a couple little tidbits of things that I think were really good. There was really no bad. And then I'm going to let you know what I did with my shares. Because as you know, I did a video on Irobot about a year ago. It was talking about whether I thought Irobot was going to double or not. I think it was about a year ago. And I gave the reasons that I was bullish on the company. And here we are, over doubled in about a year's time. I thought it was anywhere from a year to 5 years. So really good. So I'll let you know what I did with my shares and what I'm thinking about doing going forward. So in terms of the full year revenue, we saw $1.43 billion in revenue, and that was up 18% year over year. So even for the full year with everything going on, we saw massive revenue growth. Of course, I'm going to get into why those reasons were. The revenue for the Q4 of 2020 was $544.8 million rather. I'm talking about Apple and stuff too much here. And that beat estimates. There's only about $485 million that was estimated in Q4 of 2020. The full year EPS was $5.14. And again, that's up 73% year over year. Just huge. These earnings, I think this is why the stock was running. These earnings are just great. In terms of the EPS just for Q4, it was 46 cents and the estimate was 31 cents. So huge beat there as well. Something that I always like, especially with a company that, is probably going to be innovating quite a bit, and we'll get into that. $483.7 million in cash. And of course, last quarter they had $357.3 million. So that's a huge jump in cash as well. On the screen right now, I'll put up the spreadsheet that I had before, so you can kind of take a look at how things have changed over the years, the last 4 quarters, last 5 quarters here. I'm actually thinking about putting this up on my Patreon, maybe when I start to put together a company's financials, because I do this. I can have this available on my Patreon if you guys want to be on there. So maybe let me know down in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in. Just a thought I had before I made the video. So a couple things that really stood out. Some of these were on the press release and some of them were on the transcript of the earnings call. Now the earnings call is tomorrow morning, so we can't listen to that yet. But I think pretty much everything was on there. If there's something that's really notable, I'll tweet it for you guys tomorrow. Something that's just kind of crazily amazing or something. So when we're talking about growth here, a lot of this growth was to do with this huge crisis that we're in right now. I gave you guys my thesis before why I think the stock was so undervalued and why I was buying around $50 a share, $55 a share, whatever it was. And that was during normal times. I think that everybody should have a Roomba, and those who don't know what they're missing. And there still seems to be a lot of people in the world that don't have them. So a lot of people haven't experienced this yet. So there's a lot of room for growth. And this year just kind of accelerated. So we saw US growth grow 28% and international 27%. These numbers are crazy, right? And of course, a lot of this, we presume, is to do with people being locked up in their homes. And so they're spending more money on stuff related to their homes and cleaning and stuff like that, right? When you're going to be home a lot more, you're going to dirty your house a lot more. And you want to make something that's going to make it easier, right? So e-commerce, so that plays into it. E-commerce was over 70% growth in Q4. So of course this is buying online, and they're talking a lot about doing this direct-to-consumer model where they can work on their website. They're going to be putting more money into their website. They're going to be getting more personnel in terms of direct-to-consumer. So they're really focusing on e-commerce here. So it was up over 70%, which is to be expected, of course, because people locked down and such. So that was in Q4, and 55% up for the entire year. Premium robot revenue growth of 55% in Q4 and 50% for the year. So it doesn't necessarily mean people are buying cheaper things. Premium is $500 and up. And I think, if I'm correct, the i3, which was released not too long ago here, probably is in that, at least in Canada here, in the US it might not be, in that $500 and up range. It might be slightly less in the US, but that's a really good price point for that robot. Also, this one I found extremely interesting. When they're looking at new streams of revenue, they're talking about, in Q4, it just started, they're doing a small pilot for commercial services. Now, they didn't say too much what this was. Initially I thought like within businesses and stuff, and that could be the case. But they're also talking about extending warranties. They're talking about using your Roomba as a service, so maybe when you need it, it shows up at your house or something. So extremely interesting, and that could be, especially if they could get a robot that goes into businesses and such, that could be huge. So I'd really watch that. That was something that really interested me a lot. This is, if nobody's talking about this is completely underrated. The i3, they launched the i3 just in January. So this just is not even really part of these earnings here. In the, I'm not sure how you say that, EMEA region, and that's Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. So I wasn't aware that they weren't actually selling the i3 there. And again, that's that value, that price point that I think is going to do very well. So they just started doing that as well. In terms of 2021, they're going to be launching 2 new products, which is super exciting for me. I always wonder what these 2 new products are going to be. So they're really going to be accelerating how much they spend, not only on e-commerce and direct to consumer, but also I imagine research and development is going to go up as well. So that brings us into 2021 here, because we're in 2021 now. Their guidance is 1.635 billion to 1.675 billion. So they're expecting a lot of growth. Look for the full year here, we only had 1.43 billion. So we're seeing they're expecting significant growth. EPS they're expecting from $1.85 to $2.10. But if you look here, this year they did $5.14. So the stock is kind of after hours been going up a lot and down. I think maybe this has spooked a lot of people, but you got to think about, as I cross it out there, you got to think about why that might be the case. They've said that they're going to spend a lot more. I think it was something like $20 million more on marketing and direct to consumer. So they're going to be spending a lot more. That's going to, of course, the revenue can be higher, but that's going to eat away at your bottom line, right? Also, what eats away at your bottom line is the research and development. That's what I'm looking for, research and development. So while some people might take this as a negative, the EPS can be less, I think it could be a really positive thing because they're going into growth mode. They're like, we're going to be pumping out 2 new products. Maybe we're going to be doing new services, commercial services. So it's hard to say what that's going to entail. But when you see them expecting higher revenue but lower EPS, I think that's a positive, actually. Tariffs might come into account as well, but I definitely think that that's a positive. So overall, this was I keep saying this lately with every company, phenomenal earnings. And personally myself, I recommended this stock about a year ago. Of course, do your own research, guys. It's just educational, but I figured that it would double, and then it's done that and then some. I think I got out, I sold everything out now at about, I think it was about 110 or 120, 110, 120. And the reason was I had a limit order in, and I think that was the day it skyrocketed to like 178, and I couldn't watch it that day, so I was kind of mad. Like, I could have had a lot more. And then after these earnings, I might have actually considered keeping this company. Some of the metrics are a lot richer, but I'm actually really bullish on this company. But now it might just be too high for me to get back in. But you guys know, as a value investor, I mean, if I make 80, 90, 100% of my money, you keep doing that every time, you're going to be extremely wealthy, and I've done very well doing that. So there's a difference between loving the company, I love Irobot, and loving the stock. So we'll see what happens with it going forward. It's possible I might get back in, but right now I booked like a 80 to I'd have to check, 80 to 100% profit in it. So I was pretty happy with that. So I'd love to know what you guys think of the quarter, specifically, even these, what do you think maybe this pilot project's about? Have you heard anything about that? And anything about the new products? Of course, nobody knows about that, but that'd be very interesting to know. So anyway, that's gonna be it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.